thank you to Tara Palmeri, the renowned and amazing, legendary journalist who has been doing some great work on all accounts, but also really great work leaning into the Epstein files and getting some justice for the victims and for Americans. Thank you for joining us, Tara. How are you?
I'm okay. I think the real question is, how are you? I have been praying for you. I'm so sorry this all happened. This is terrible. And we're all rooting for you, Don, and everything that you stand for in your journalism. Like you've always been out there on the street with the people, covering the movements, everything that's happening. Like you're not the kind of anchor that stays in a studio, and we've all always admired you for that. And it's just so upsetting and startling that in this country, something like this would happen to you. And like, that is your work at its best, and it's really upsetting. But I'm so happy to hear that you're going to keep going. You're not stopping. And like, I loved seeing the standing ovation for you at the Clive Davis dinner. That was awesome.
Thank you very much. And look, I'm going to come on your show and I'm going to talk to you all about it, but I got to take care of some things first, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
to figure out exactly how far I can go and say and all those things. So thank you for that so much. You're going to make me cry.
I was so upset. You know how many people, like, I mean, we're all we're all rooting for you. This is like a family. I mean, you convinced me to like go out and do this, like help me when I was needing advice. And like, I've really looked up to you and everything you've built. And I don't know, just like, it's really, you're like a pioneer in this independent media space. And that's why they targeted you, is because like, you've created a real movement and you're so forward facing, and you have really defined this. So it's like, it's really, the reason you're a target, it's because they are threatened. And I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I'm a little lost for words, but yeah, I think we're all rooting for you, Don. So.
Well, thank you. I got to tell you too, people who I have not had such great experiences with, who have not treated me kindly, actually reached out to me, and it was like, an olive branch, or to break the ice and say, I know that we have not been on friendly terms lately, but I think what they're doing to you is wrong. And let's like have a drink or go to dinner. And you know what I mean? I think that, and it's broken the ice to a lot with a couple of people who, so I'm, at least there's something good that's come out of it. However, there's nothing good, I believe, coming out of the Epstein files. And I'm surprised, our thumbnail says they arrested the wrong Don. And I was actually listening to a preacher this weekend who said, out of all of these things, they've arrested Don Lemon, but why hasn't anybody been arrested for the Epstein files?
Exactly.
And why can you imagine if someone has the connections, even just the connections that Donald Trump has, why haven't they been, we would be brought in and questioned at least, and maybe we would have been apprehended. I don't know, but why not?
Right. Why not? And, I think when you actually look at who the connections that Jeffrey Epstein had to the very top of every administration that ever covered this, that should have investigated this massive sex trafficking operation, he's managed to sort of burrow himself into the layers of the top of society, of politics, of the Justice Department. I mean, going back to 1996 when Maria Farmer like called in, her the tip in 1996 about her sister tip. It's like it was a police report, asking for help to the FBI, and nobody responded. And it's like, well, he was friends with the president, he was friends with Bill Clinton at the time. And then you go on to 2008 and this very unjust non-prosecution agreement. And then, he's friends with Kathleen Rumler, who is Obama's, not just friend, excuse me, he's getting advice from her. He is the White House counsel, and he's asking her for advice on how to smear Virginia Giuffre, a victim, giving her a Birkin bag, which she was just so excited about, right? And then, you just look at every layer, like he's friends with Ken Starr, Alan Dershowitz. It's like he has everybody locked up and paid for, throughout multiple administrations. And he even now, I mean, Jay Clayton, who is leading this investigation, okay, this new investigation that President Trump has opened up into the Democrats, right? And he was the one who's supposed to be working. He's running the SDNY, like he is he's the federal prosecutor, the top of the SDNY, and he was supposed to turn over millions and millions of documents in compliance with the Epstein Transparency Act. But this is a man who was selected by Leon Black to basically replace him at Apollo when Leon Black, the founder of Apollo, had to step down because of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, in which he paid him $170 million for estate planning, as if anyone has ever received that kind of fee. On top of that, Leon Black was accused in a civil case of rape by a woman in connection to Jeffrey Epstein. And it's just like Leon Black also, was Reid Hoffman's lawyer at Sullivan and Cromwell. And if you just like look at all of the connections between Epstein's world and all people who are at the top of the government now and have been in previous positions, you can understand why he has remained untouchable, and all of his accomplices and all the people who were who may have also been John's perpetrators in these acts. There are 1,000 girls and victims have said that they were not just trafficked to Jeffrey Epstein. Why they have not had faced any justice? Why there haven't been any follow-up investigations?
Well, look, Tara, listen, in this latest tranche that came out, some of the information, I think there was like the Bill Gates reference about, reportedly about STDs or something, or and Donald Trump was mentioned in there, and they're saying, well, it's these are tipsters and they couldn't be verified and all of that, and they can't investigate. And it's like, wait a minute, we have a very viable, at least we used to have an FBI and people who are quite capable of investigating even tips that aren't substantiated. But it's shocking to me, again, as it was said in the report by Christian Welker, is that, okay, just because you're in there doesn't mean you're guilty, but there's a whole, Donald Trump's in there a lot, like a lot.
5,300 files, 5,300 files have the president's name in them.
Why hasn't he been brought in and questioned?
Right. You claim that you've investigated the tip, but what about the person who's been accused?
Go on.
Yeah, I mean, and also just the fact that, okay, Ghislaine Maxwell said that there were 25 men in her habeas petition that signed settlements with one victim alone. Okay, what about those men? What about them? I mean, what are they doing? It's just it's also a sign too that they just don't believe women. They just don't want to believe them. They don't care. I mean, I think everyone should be concerned that crimes against women, we know crimes against minorities, they don't have a precedent for, they don't have, they're just not important to these people in the FBI. They're just not prioritized. And it's really disturbing. So yes, how can you say you've actually closed the loop on a tip if you haven't called in the person who's been accused? Haven't even called their lawyer?
What?
Seriously?
Exactly. Why you can't bring them in, bring them in and talk to them and ask them. That's what I don't understand it. I think, Tara, we're going to look back in a couple of years, and new information is going to come out. And we will be hoodwinked. The American people will. There's going to be a tranche of information that is going to not, implicate people, but that's going to find a lot of people had a lot more to do with the trafficking of people, or actually committing horrible sexual acts with young people. I think that's going to come out, and I think it's going to be, as you said, some of the wealthiest people in the world and some of the most influential people. And all we're left now is to our own devices, because they're not being transparent with us. So we don't know exactly who that might be. That could be anyone from the president of the United States on down to, as you see, Prince Andrew and others that they're just not being, in my opinion, transparent about. And they're hiding something.
No, and they've also done a really sloppy job at releasing the files. I mean, Brad Edwards, who is a lawyer for many of the victims, he's actually calling on the Justice Department to take down the entire website until they remove the names of these victims. There are, let me
And these
just get
naked
right.
pictures, right, of like young women, like what?
Yeah.
They're so sloppy. Yeah.
They failed to redact at least 43 names, some appearing more than 100 times. So,
Wow.
yeah, and this is like he was saying time is of the essence. You need to take this down now. You are destroying people's lives. So these are women who have already been victimized by Jeffrey Epstein, have already lived through that pain and that shame. And now this is the next phase of the re-traumatization by the government. And I've just been getting a lot of like, I feel so bad for the survivors because this is all they're getting. Like they're not getting anything more than this. And this is what they've gotten. It's just, this is what a sad way to end this horrific story. There is no light in this story, sadly.
Not at
And
all.
and Todd Blanche has closed the door on any future investigations. And like I said, Jay Clayton, who's running the next phase, I mean, he's completely compromised himself. He should be recusing himself when he's so
Unbelievable
involved with men who one of them had to pay a settlement in connection to a rape of a woman. He denies it, but he had to step down from his role at Apollo. It's just, it is really, 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 really concerning. And the more you look at the web, you realize everybody at the top has some connection to Jeffrey Epstein, including our next Fed chair, Kevin Warsh, who's married to Ron Lauder, who happens to be friends with with President Trump, whose daughter is involved in the Greenland takeover. Like, it's just like the more you look at this web, and then you have, Kathy Remler, who's now being defended by Tony Fratto at Goldman Sachs, who was George Bush's deputy press secretary. And you're just like, wow. Lutnick, who claims, I just walked into his house once and I was like, oh, this is creepy with my wife. And then I left. Turns out he actually wanted to go to the island, and it looks like he arranged to actually go and visit it. And then there's
emails with Elon Musk, who has emails in there saying, what's the best, craziest party or whatever. But, there you go. Tara Palmeri.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tara Palmeri. Make sure you catch Tara Palmeri. She has a Red Letter, which is her Substack, and she does great work over there.
Thank you.
And so there it is up on the screen over on the Substack. Make sure you subscribe to Tara's work. And then she also has a show on YouTube. It's a Tara Palmeri Show, right?
Yeah.
The Tara Palmeri Show. And there it is right there on YouTube. Make sure you go over and subscribe and support her. Support us independent journalists, because we're out here working our butts off to bring this stuff to you, and like Tara Palmeri is. Thank you, Tara.
Thanks, Don. Stay strong.
Thank you. I'll see you soon on your show as soon as I can do it. Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Thank you. That was another episode of the Tara Palmeri Show. I'll keep continuing the story as it is developing. Please follow, subscribe, share it with your friends. Tell everyone about this show. It's how we keep going. Please go to tarapalmeri.com and become a subscriber to the Red Letter. If you become a paid subscriber, you get exclusive reporting straight to your inbox. It's how you can support my journalism. I want to thank my producer, Eric Rabanate, Abby Baker, doing my socials and research, Adam Stewart doing thumbnails, Dan Rosen, my manager. Everybody is working overtime today. It's a Friday afternoon. They always know to dump it then, right? Just to ruin our weekends. And that's why, because they're hoping that we won't be as persistent and on it as we are. So take a listen. Thank you for listening to the show, and I'll be back again soon.